Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to another incredible installment with Eileen Nauman. I'm so excited that we get to have a chat again. Today, we have the lovely Sharon Ralston, one of the homeopaths on my team, joining us as well. Eileen, we've had so much incredible feedback already from the past three episodes that we've done with you. We've got this one, and I think there's another one at least, or another one or two in the bank as well that we're going to be
Oh
doing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Thank you so much and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back. I almost feel like this is my second home. I see you every week, which is nice.
It's
I mean,
the
hey, I'm enjoying it.
it's such a privilege. Thank you so much. I'm not going to take any further of your time. You've got another PowerPoint here for us. So those listening on
Yes.
Rumble and YouTube can check out the PowerPoint, but you're welcome to obviously just listen in on the podcast as well. Eileen, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, there is a lot in this one. You know, I liken what we're doing is kind of like three-dimensional chess. In one way, we're looking at the human in 3D, and some people know something about anatomy, and certainly homeopaths know a lot. Some know more than others, but at least you know the framework. And then on top of that, I walk in here and say, well, there's an etheric template that is gold colored, and it starts out in the crown chakra up here, and it's the exact duplicate of the body, but it has to do with all of the anatomical inner things beneath the skin, like your nervous system, your digestive system, and so on and so forth, and all your organs and all your endocrine glands. And but you can't see it, and nobody, unless you're a metaphysician, or you are clairvoyant, uh, can see that golden shimmering outline of that template of our body, but it's like looking through it, okay? And you can see the aura, the egg-shaped energy around you also. Um, and I was just thinking today that, we're doing a crash course, quite literally. I mean, it took me 18 years to learn all of this stuff, thanks to my parents. And they were both clairvoyant, and they had been schooled and trained like they were training me up. And so I had 18 years to suck this up. And, I'm, and as you well know, I've been talking to you about this, Eugenie, about everybody needs to understand this, because all of our health starts out here and then comes in here. Whatever is happening out here, which goes back to losing pieces, or when we get wounded, when we get shock and trauma, it starts out here where we can't see it, but it continues to bleed down through the layers, through the fields, and into a particular chakra where the wounding took place. And then the chakra is blown, or the chakra, which is a round circle. It looks like a funnel. Okay, there's a funnel in the front and the back, like the heart chakra, the throat chakra. You got the brow chakra, the crown chakra, and so on. And no one realizes that our true health or lack of health actually starts out there and comes in. And again, the bottom line, the foundation is that it's shock and trauma that puts us in these out of balance ways. But it takes a while to kind of filter down. And so I'm trying to make this simple, but to me, it's like we are literally doing three-dimensional chess in 3D and 4D at the same time. So, what I want to tell the people who are listening is, don't feel bad if it's just overwhelming to you, because this takes some time to really go through it and to digest it. And if you don't have any anatomy or physiology, there's a really fun book, and I love this book. It's called the Anatomy Coloring Book. It was done by a U.S. artist, and it is one of the best books in the world for people who haven't sunk their teeth into anything that's anatomical, because everything we're going to talk about as far as the chakra goes, and the different layers and how they interact with one another, to create whether we're healthy or not healthy, or we have issues over here or over here. If they could just get that coloring book and get some colored pencils or crayons. I don't care. It's fun. I used it when I was going through my EMT training because they really put you through a lot of that. So just sit back and do what you can. Now, Eugenie, you got 3 handouts of mine, right? That we're going to give away free. Everything's free. And it's to help the people do the stepping stones on this in your own time and when you're quiet. And the one that's really important is I think you're going to turn it into a PDF, right,
Yeah.
Eugenie?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I'll just quickly pipe in there as well. So if you go to eugeniekruger.com/Eileen, Eileen, that's Eileen's Corner. We'll put all her documents there. But there is also her own website, walkingtheland.net. And eventually she'll get all of her own goodies on there as well. So we just kind of have a little storing house on our website just in the meantime while her IT is getting all the things on there. Just and also so you have, a couple different places. She's got her YouTube channel as well. So make sure that you go there as well. So we're just making sure that we're spreading the love around and making sure nice and easy for everyone to find Eileen and her work.
Really? Well, Eugenie, you're kind of hard to find too. So I think it's the pot calling the kettle black. Anyway, I have a lovely niece. She is a graphic artist, and she's the one that created this beautiful design of a person with an aura. And on the left-hand side, there are names like etheric body, astral body, lower mental upper mental body, causal body. And then on the right, you have all of the chakras. And don't don't get misled. Just we'll take this a step at a time, but it's going to tell you a lot about yourself, and you may find yourself in some of the descriptions going, "Gee, this is just like me." Or, oh man, I used to go through that. I'm not like that now, but I used to be that way. And it's like going through different chakras that have been, uh, I'm going to say damaged, but they can be slowed down. They're whirling all the time at a certain vibrational frequency. And I'm going to talk a lot more about chakras next week because people need to understand this. And because it is our bottom line with our health and with how well we get through this lifetime or not. So they're really, really important. But I'm going to touch upon them this week, but we're really going to go in depth and slower than this one. This one's going to be Mach 3 with its hair on fire. So the first thing you get to laugh at, that I always like doing funny things. This is my idea that I drew this. Okay, this is my fault. Anybody want to laugh at it, go right ahead. I drew it because I was teaching this a long time ago to my shamanic facilitators who were my students. And I just thought, gee, I got to do something. And so this is what I came up with. It's not the world's best, but it will do. What I basically want you to kind of hold on to tonight is that we have uh, chakras. We have 7. We actually have 9, but we're only going to deal with the 7 because they're in the body and they're connected with our organs in our endocrine system. And that's, again, we're talking health here. And so I needed to show something here, and I'm going to create a really nice do-it-yourself kind of graphic for next week, and everybody will probably howl at that one, but you'll really understand it and you won't forget it. And if you put your hand over a chakra, all right, like your heart chakra, remember we have two small little substation electromagnetic chakras right here, and you can literally feel them. You can feel either the hot or cold, or if it bumps up because it's swollen and there's inflammation. So this is my idea. And I just basically said the electromagnetic system that surrounds our physical body is composed of parts. And I says it's just like a car engine. It too has parts that must work in unison so that the engine turns over and starts. And I said chakras are shaped like a funnel, like your mom when she makes, bakes or cooks, she uses a funnel. That's the type of funnel we're talking about. It's very, very simple and straightforward. But they are on our front and on our back, and that's why this particular drawing, I know my niece is going, oh my God, she didn't do that. Did she? Did she really put that out there? Hers are so much nicer. But you get the idea. That's all I want you to get tonight. The front chakras symbolize our desire. Now, desire is, you've got to watch out for desire because, okay, I really desire some chocolate. Well, too much chocolate is going to make you fat, okay? Or it's going to give you diabetes or something like that. So you got to watch what desire is. And your will is where you actually, from an incarnation standpoint, when you made your plan to come in here this lifetime to be who and what you are and what you're doing, is really the engine that should be running everything. But our desire gets in our way, and we aren't always, really smart about it. And I do love chocolates, and I just have to hide them, and my husband finds them, and then he eats them all, and then there's none around. So I'm going to tattletale on him. It's his fault. His desire ran away with him. Anyway, each of these chakras runs a specific color, which is a specific frequency and or a vibration. And each has a specific duty in our aura, and that in turn feeds our and sustains our physical body. I said we would not be alive if we didn't have this egg-shaped 9-layer aura around us, nor would we exist without our funnel-shaped looking chakras, which pull in a specific kind of pranic or prana, Prana, energy into each of them because it feeds our physical bodies 24 hours a day, nonstop. And I said, all of this is invisible unless you're clairvoyant. And I said, just because you can't see it with your two physical eyes doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay, so this is one that my niece did. You can tell how much nicer it looks. So we're going to talk about the first field just very generally. I'm not getting in depth. The handout that I am giving you, it really starts sinking your teeth into it, but we're going to be going more into that in later lessons. And I said in lesson 1, I introduced you to the first auric field or layer, and it was called the etheric field. And we always refer to it as the etheric. It is a light gray or a light blue color that surrounds our physical body like a tight glove. And that layer is usually around 3 inches thick. And it is connected to our root chakra, which is red. It runs red energy. Okay, so the second field, or excuse me, lesson 2, I introduced you to the first auric field layer, and it's called the astral body or the astral field. There's different names for all of these, and I just am going to try and just keep it simple, even though I understand that different religions have different names for all these chakras. We're not going to get into that mess. There's just no way I'm going to go there. So we're just going to make this simple. I said it contains all the colors of the rainbow. It is our emotional body. If you don't understand, or if you don't remember anything else about it, it's where we put our tears and where we put our happiness. It's everything. And the layer is usually 3 to 4 inches thick. And I said it is connected to our sacral or navel chakra, and it's an orange color, which my niece has made the orange color. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about chakras 3 through 7. And I said in lesson 3, I'm going to introduce these fields. And I'm going to, I had to have some kind of name for all of these, understanding that every religion has a different name for them, but we're still talking the same thing. We have the same fields. So I've named them here, but again, I'm just going to make it really, really simple. And what I tried to show, like, for instance, in the third field, which is they call it the lower mental field. And don't think that it means that people are stupid, okay? Because when you say mental and you say lower, you think that, no, that has nothing to do with anything. Metaphysics doesn't look at things that way at all. That's why I don't like these names. They build pictures in people's minds that we really don't need. But the lower mental body is a light yellow color, and it's the third layer out from the physical body. The upper middle body, okay, is the solar plexus, and it's rather gold colored. It's not yellow, it's gold. And we had kind of a hard time trying to make gold out of that, but we didn't succeed, but you'll believe me. And the causal body, or excuse me, we're going to leave the throat and the heart for a little later, but the causal body, I just want to kind of show you that the different fields as they go out, it's just a drawing. It's just to kind of get you used to understanding that those layers are there, and they're not two-dimensional. They're constantly moving around us very slowly, and so you can see all kinds of colors like diaphanous clouds moving around and different colors coming and going. It's in a constant movement kind of thing. So this 2D doesn't really do it great, but it gets you the idea. So I said our aura consists of 9 fields or layers of energy, and they create this egg-shaped protective electromagnetic energy field around us. And I said every living thing has an aura. And I have so many people go, but, okay, because, well, I thought only humans had it. No, everything that's living, all right, has an aura. And that's what keeps them alive. Stop and think about this. I mean, you know, man is not the top of the pecking order. Trust me, like they think they are. They're not. So this is an invisible energy, and there is a wonderful book. If you want to get into chakras and really sink your teeth into some of the best information I have ever seen written by anybody, Carolyn Mace is a medical intuitive. She's clairvoyant. I've taken some of I took a 5-day course from her in San Jose, California. And she's an incredible being, and she knows those chakras inside and out. And it's the best 21st century or 20th century that I have ever had someone talk about the chakras like she does. So if again, if it starts to interest you, that's the only book I want you to buy. Don't buy any other one but this one, and you will not be sorry. Okay, so here's the lower mental body. Okay, this is the what we call the solar plexus because it runs the yellow color. Just kind of forget the lower mental body. Just look at solar plexus chakra, and we'll be fine. I said that this is our everyday mind. It symbolizes the left side of our brain where thought, memory, remembering the past and the present, is using the 3D world. If we didn't have this, we could not operate in this third dimension. So it's a very, very important part of what keeps us going on a daily basis. And I said, but it goes deeper than that. And I said, I've always wondered why they ever use lower, and I kind of explained that. So what you do need to know, just anatomically, just passing by right now, is that the solar plexus rules the stomach region, and the chakra is actually where the stomach is at. And it rules all of the digestive phase, whether it is down, it meets with the navel chakra, which is the second chakra, which is orange. It takes care of our intestines and our large intestine and our colon. So anything to do with digestion, whether it's heartburn or stomach ulcers or just, picky eaters, that type of thing, this is where ground zero is at. And I said, it also be sure that you don't look at lower as being stupid or not quite up to par brain wise. This has nothing to do with it, although the vagus nerve is part of the solar plexus. And let me tell you, you want to read some stuff up on the vagus nerve and how important that is. Oh my God. So I can't talk about it tonight, but it's there. Okay, so the first 7 fields of the aura are connected to a specific set of chakras, and chakras in the Hindu religion is called a wheel of light, and they are light. They do stand out, and when you feel them, you can actually feel the vibration of what they're spinning. And as I said before, I think that if you're from the equator going to the northern hemisphere up to the North Pole, the chakras spin in a clockwise direction. but from the equator down to the South Pole, it is counterclockwise. And and the way we do that, you can really tell very easily, and I can't get into it tonight, but I can kind of drop some seeds into uh, your vicinity. If you know what a pendulum is, you can literally take a pendulum and hold it. Do you have one, Eugenie? I see you reaching for something. Oh, let's do a show and tell. I love that. What, you got it in your purse? Oh God,
Sorry, I
it's
just had
too fun.
myself on unmute while I was looking for it. It's so cool.
Okay, right. Okay, so the way that I would always train my shamans is I would show them how to use the pendulum, and to show them where their chakras were at, and to hold it at a certain so many inches away. And it's either going to spin one way or the other,
Mm,
or if it doesn't spin at all, it means that that chakra is closed down. Or worse, there's etheric dross in it and it stopped it from spinning, which is a very bad sign, and you're going to have some health issues there.
mm.
That's all I could say. So we use the pendulum because most people are not clairvoyant and can't see the spinning, and they can't look into it and see what's going on and whether it's spinning the correct way or not. And the easiest thing is to use a pendulum. So everybody who really wants to get into this, buy a pendulum. Okay. So I said that
Oh,
they're
sorry.
called. I'm
Sorry,
sorry. Go
Eileen. I
ahead.
keep unmuting myself and then forgetting you can't hear me, just to make the editing easier. But so we're here in the southern hemisphere. So you're saying we're going anti-clockwise, but is that as I'm looking outwards, it's going anti-clockwise, or is that if you're viewing the person from the outside that it's sorry, that's a really like
No, I mean it literally, if you hold a pendulum over your heart chakra or
yeah.
your solar plexus, okay, and you hold it about 3 inches above it and just hold it real quiet, it's going to start moving counterclockwise because you're in the southern
Ah.
hemisphere, okay?
But the chakras itself though, so I'm trying to kind of visualize it. So you're saying it's this funnel that's kind of going out, but then it also goes round, right? So is that
No, 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 no. The chakra is a funnel and it stays right where it stays very close to the body.
mm,
Okay. And that's why I say put your pendulum about 3 to 4 inches above your body, above that chakra, and
okay.
the chakra is right there.
Mm.
Okay. They're all in a line. They don't move around. Okay.
Are they
Unless you want to
spinning
work
at
on,
all?
pardon?
So that they're spinning though, or is it I'm getting myself confused here.
Yeah, okay. Let's say this about chakras. Um, in the southern hemisphere, they're counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. In the northern, they are clockwise. If your chakra happens to be spinning clockwise, this isn't good because it's not supposed to be doing that. It's supposed to be going the other way.
Okay.
So that shows that there's an issue, or it stopped working, and that's not good either. So this is why you want that pendulum. And a lot of times people with jet lag, when they go from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, which I've done many times, oh my God, your poor chakra fields just it's a shock to them, okay? Because they're in a very different energy pattern in the southern hemisphere rather than the northern. And that's all I'm going there tonight, okay?
Okay.
We can always do that. People could come over to your YouTube place or mine and ask me questions, and I'll be happy to try and answer them. But we're getting into some deep weeds here, and I don't want to go there right now because people have enough weeds to go through tonight.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks. I'll put
Okay.
myself back on mute now.
Oh, no, no, I love questions. And just some of them, it's going to take maybe 15, 20 minutes to get seriously into the intricacies of it. And that's boring if you don't understand how they're connected in the
Guys.
first place and what they can do for
Mm,
you.
mm.
So anyway, getting back to this, eventually the pranic food that goes into the funnel, which is your chakra, which doesn't move, it's in a fixed place on the template. It has a little tube at the end of the funnel, and it's attached to the spinal column of the template, which is created by our crown chakra aura. out here, okay? Our auras never move except to move around us, okay? The chakras always stay in place. They can't run all over the place and say, catch me if you can. They stay with a specific organ, front and back, and that's it. And they are all on that etheric template that was created by the crown chakra layer, okay? And that's where it's held, and it is attached to with the with where the funnel gets narrowed, it goes into the spinal column of the template. And then it goes to a specific endocrine gland in our physical body. And there is a transmutation that takes place, which is phenomenal. It goes from prana, which is molecules and atoms, and once it goes into, thanks to the chakra, into that specific endocrine gland, it transmutes into physicality, and it becomes a hormone. And believe me, hormones run our whole entire body. There's no jokes about this, okay? And that's how we get fed. That's how our physical body gets fed, is by these chakras. So they are the absolute front soldiers, if you will, of health or lack of health in our bodies. So anyway, in this one, the solar plexus, which is, the stomach digestive area, front and back, the chakras deal with the yellow vibrational field of energy and is also being thought of as mental or mind energy when you think about the color yellow. But, yellow has a lot of other things. You think about yellow as like sunlight. Sunlight is yellow also, and it's beautiful. And so it's more than just mental mind. And I said clairvoyantly, there's a prominent yellow crescent shape, literally over the head of everyone. You can see it. It's like a curved that starts about right where your ears are, and it comes up across your head, and that is your mental field. And you can see it, if you can start seeing the etheric with your two eyes. I know a lot of people who can, with their two eyes, see that yellow, half a halo. Okay, it's not a halo around your head. Let's not, that has now, no, it's like half of a circle, and it's just right here. And the thing is that if it's very faded out, it means that people really aren't using their mind that much. It doesn't mean they're stupid, so don't go there. But somebody who has, let's say, a very mental job, like let's say somebody that's in IT and computers, they're using their minds to the ultimate, all right, or mathematicians who are writing formulas, then their field, that particular field, gets very, very almost golden looking. And it just really stands out very prominently, but it's not a halo. So just get that out of your mind. Anyway, its job is just to communicate with one another in the third dimensional world. Okay, this is how we get along. I said it rules the brain functions as well. And I says this field is also keen on mathematics, anything that's linear, such as time, measurement, science in general, or sacred geometry, because that too involves the math formula. So that's all concerned with that solar plexus chakra. And so it's more than digestion, but it's also digestion, if you want to look at it symbolically, of linear thinking in any way, shape, or form too. Okay, so the next one is the heart chakra. You can call it the heart field. Uh, it's just above the stomach, and it's right here in the center of your chest. The heart provides a counterweight to the mind, and Albert Einstein called the mind the servant to the heart. That was, in his opinion, primary. He referred to our heart as the gift. And that tells you that I wish all humans would put their heart first instead of thinking it. Thinking has no emotion. Heart has the emotion. So the heart is located in the central part of our body, not only a physical bridge of the emotional energy, but also it is the opening gate to our spiritual orientation. You can't be spiritual and make it all a head thing or a mental thing. Part of being spiritual is moving and making your heart primary, making your mind secondary. I always say that the lower mind or the everyday mind is good for the grocery list, but if you want to really move up the ladder spiritually speaking and become a better human being, then you are listening, first of all, to your intuition, because that is where intuition comes from, is our heart. And if you start listening to that, it'll never lead you wrong. It really won't. It'll save your life too. And I can tell you stories that'll raise hair on your head because I listen to my heart first. I don't care what somebody outside of me is telling me. I know better. And so the heart sits above the lower three mind chakras, which is the root and the sacral or the navel chakra and the solar plexus chakra. Metaphysicians consider these three to be the mind that people use in 3D in their incarnation. But the heart is like a gateway that gives them some opportunity to do something else if that's what they want to do. And that is to start feeling their emotions, getting involved with them, and finding out that emotions can just, run over the mental, or the mental can override the emotional. It just depends upon the soul and the incarnation they're in. And what I like, I found this wonderful graphic that shows the heart, and then in the center of it shows the brain. And that is what you want to always think about. All right. And I have a very quick little thing to tell you that I have taught my shamanic students for the last 30, 40 years is, even women get more mental than they do emotional. Okay. And we shut down emotionally for a lot of reasons, and men and women. And plus, we have a society that tells men that they can't cry and that they can't be emotional and they can't feel and they can't talk about the things that really ought to be talked about. Um, and I have had a lot of my students who are highly intelligent. I mean, just incredible people. Um, Very smart, far smarter than me, believe me. I don't have any PhDs. I don't have a BA. I don't have an MA. I have nothing. So there you go. But they all started out, and you could see that every time I would say something that had an emotional resonance to it that should have been taken into consideration with what I was talking about, that you would immediately see all the energy, and you'd see their little yellow mental halo just light up like a neon light. Okay. That's why I knew that they were in their head and they weren't in their heart. You can't do the job as a shaman in your head. It's impossible, because it is a service path of compassion. And that means you're not thinking about it, you're feeling everything about it. And you have to love the person who was injured by the perpetrator, but you also have to love the perpetrator with as much love as you love that victim. And that is a jawbreaker. I just dare anybody to try that. You just stop and think about it for a minute. I have 5 years with those women and 3 men who, the easiest way I found to break that energy, to stop the mental from always taking over on the emotional, because it served them so well, except they want to be a shaman, and that doesn't serve them at all. So they've got to throw the blueprint out and start all over. And so what I taught them, and this works for everybody, is to just, ground yourself first. All right. Grounding is important, or it's not going to work. So you have to ground yourself. And then you close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths in your nose, down in your belly, let it out your mouth gently. Okay. 3 times. All right. And your hands are sitting on your thighs. All right. You haven't got crossed hands and you haven't got crossed legs. Leave them straight, okay? And then visualize in your brow here, you see your head slowly moving down into your heart and going total, the head totally goes into the heart and the heart encloses over the head. And just stop and feel that. That's a big difference. Don't believe me? Go try it. And it's the first step in quieting the mind. And this goes into meditation too. I mean, the TM people, they'll tell you you have to have a quiet mind. Well, this is how you quiet it. Put it into the arms and the love of your heart and love it for what it is. It's trying so hard. I mean, you just, it just tries to outdo itself. And hold it and just stay there and feel it for about maybe a minute. And then, all right, do your 3 breaths in and out, and then just open your eyes. The head will stay in the heart, but I'm sure with really heavy mental people that head's going to start wanting to come up again, just like the astral body likes to come out of your feet and go up your body, okay, and escape because there's too many emotions. So, but the head heart is one of the most important things you can do as a human being. And you don't have to be a shaman to do this either, but you do it for yourself. And you start finding, my people found it would take about 3 months for them, sometimes 6 months, depending on how heavy the mental activity was. You don't want to think it, you want to feel it. And at that time, their lives began to change very markedly and in some very soft, kindly, loving ways that they never before had any experience with. And so it took them several years, of doing that daily. When you get up, go potty, first thing you do is sit down, ground yourself, do the head heart, and you're ready for the day. Okay? As a better human being, because you've involved your heart, you've involved, the kindness, your generosity, a smile for somebody, or saying a kind word, or saying, "Hey, I really like that scarf you're wearing. It's really beautiful on you." It's not a lie. It's just going out of your way to help someone else who's probably having a hell of a bad day and they're struggling just like you are. And when you start understanding everybody's struggling, you're not going to do any judgments. And being a shaman, you can't do a judgment at all. So, I mean, that's another bone to pick on. Okay, so getting back to the heart, the brain is in the heart. This is the thing about the heart chakra I want you to get tonight. And I said that the mind is a robot. It has no feelings. The heart develops our riches, every human emotion, good and bad, all right, that we learn about in each incarnation. At its finest, the heart and the emotional intelligence. And, finally, even the patriarchy admits, there is such a thing as emotional intelligence. Yeah, I'm one of the smartest people around because I listen to my emotions. I don't try and counteract them. I don't try to throw them out because, it's like a little intuition or a little voice coming in. No, chase it down, find out what it wants. Okay. That gets stronger and stronger the more you do it. So, that's something that you learn in several incarnations, maybe 10 or 15, who knows, maybe 100. But I said kindness, compassion, generosity, support of self and others, creativity, intuition are just some of the riches, that we are going to embark upon because, like I said before, the heart is our door to our spirituality, period. And how much does that mean to some of you? I know homeopaths, I know a lot of homeopaths, not all of them, but there's a goodly amount of them who are deeply, deeply spiritual, okay? I mean, there are things driving them spiritually in everything they do. We want that. That's a better human being. And it all starts with the heart. So let's move on here. Okay, I said, and once the lower mental body or heart field allows itself to tippy toe over into the watery emotional heart, it will find a welcome and it will be loved, and regardless of what science says. And I said, socially, and this is for the men, not the women. The men have really gotten dinged down here too by the patriarchy. It isn't just the women. I said, men are taught not to cry, not to show their emotions, or and then it becomes what I call, and what society is now calling toxic masculinity. I said that is a societal created lie made up by male patriarchy. And I said, energy wise, the man has the same way to reach his feelings and emotions and intuition via his heart chakra associated with that particular field. If he would only do the head heart every morning, it's going to help these men get out of this entrapment that they feel like they're in, and they are. Energetically, they can sure feel it, but nobody's giving them an out. Nobody's giving them a way to help open that door and escape and find out how much being a human is better than what the patriarchy gave you. Okay. And I said, men are particularly trapped by the heart, which is, right brain dominant in women. Men are left brain. And I said, science and mental pursuits were king of all things, that only it could rule and have wisdom. But the Queen of Hearts disagreed with that lopsided, imbalanced socialization males were unfairly branded with. And I said, she knows we all need to be loved, nurtured, protected, and supported. I said, the mind can't do it at all. I said, but the emotions sure can. And I said, and as we move from the mind is king into the age of Aquarius, this particular societal disease that has harmed both genders will start to dissolve once and for all, and it can't be too soon. I said, the heart is primary, the mind is nothing more than a servant. Love and peace over hate and war. Take your pick. Okay, so the throat chakra, this is right here, all right? And you can literally hold your two hands about 3 to 4 inches, 3 inches away, and you can move them up like this, and then you can move them down slowly and push your hands out, and then flick your hands, because you've pulled a bunch of what I call dust bunnies, which is positive ions, out of your aura, which is good, okay? But you can literally feel that heart chakra if it's working. It's one of the easiest areas to work with, and it is, it is a spiritual gateway, literally. Once you've decided that you want to become a better person in the heart chakra, the real test for learning about spirituality is in the throat chakra. It is a blue color. And it is also these chakras, the heart, the throat, the brow chakra, okay, are connected to the crown, and they all work together in concert to help us in a spiritual way to become better people. And hopefully, as we do, we're going to get more and more metaphysically opened as a result of that. Now, there's lots of tools in the right, and it doesn't say that everybody's going to be doing the same thing. It's whatever you need for this incarnation. In my case, mine was clairvoyance, but I don't do a lot of other things that other people do. I mean, for instance, psychometry. Psychometry means you can hold anything in your left hand, okay, because this is the energy coming in, and this is the energy going out in the right. Hold it in your left hand, and a person who has psychometry abilities, which is, again, metaphysical, they can literally see like a movie screen across their head, and they can see everything that this thing is and what has happened to it, what the age of it is, and what is its importance, or what is its value, or what does it do. Now that's psychometry. I'm dead on arrival on that one. I can't do it. It's just not my thing. And so you'll find as you get into the throat chakra that you're going to start defining what interests you. Okay. And this is where people like Barbara Brennan, who wrote the book Hands of Light, she's working out, or you can bet she's working out of her throat chakra and her brow chakra and her crown chakra, because she's wide open and she can see everything that I described earlier about the Catheric template and the crown chakra, how you see this other dynamic part of us, that it helps keep our human body from dying. So anyway, I said, this is the throat chakra. It moves a blue color through it. And I said, it's connected to the catheric energy spinal column. And that's that gold anatomy I was talking about earlier. And it is concerned with the human either remaining a lower human, which means they're working primarily out of their root chakra, their sacral or navel chakra, or their solar plexus. And they don't go any further than that. They just stay there. Or they're striving to grow and mature mentally as well as emotionally. And so they have started working in their heart, and then they're in alignment with their heart, and then they go to the gate of the throat chakra to begin to live a life where one's maturity and spirit are of equal importance while living in our 3D environment. And this is why many, many metaphysical people never tell anybody what they see, what they hear, what they know, what they can do. They never do, because everybody will say, "Oh, she's crazy. Put her in the mental home. Just drug her up. She doesn't know what she's talking about." And so that's why most of them don't come out, to say anything. But we're in the age of Aquarius now, and it's time. Okay, so the throat chakra number 2, I said, this field is only concerned with you making a commitment to yourself to become a better human being than you ever have before. And I said, it's like there are two roads. See, the throat chakra is two roads. Don't ever forget this, because you're going to be tested on it, not by me. You're going to be tested on it in incarnations, many incarnations. I said, do you take the low road, 3D, or do you take the high road, which is 4D plus? And I said, there is an awful lot of one's willpower involved in this back and forth process. Remember, our will are the rear chakras. Our desire is our front chakras. Our desire can actually help us go down the wrong road. You better be listening to what is really, really, really important to you and stick with it as best as you can. And I said, do you want to be all you can be or not? And this is the first inkling of vision. People who are working under the throat chakra are often visionaries, or they see things that other people don't. And I'm not talking about your two physical eyes and not even your third eye. This is about what your soul wants you to always improve upon yourself and become your better, best self over incarnations. Because once you have hit that throat gate, all bets are off, and you leave all of the immaturity and the whininess and the griping and wanting power and money and control over other people. That's left behind. Now you're on a path to an incredible opening up of your spirit. And it's all heart centered, period. It has nothing to do with the mind. And I said, if your desire / will get into alignment, which is what we want, I said, you may end up in an ashram, practicing yoga or meditation, following your own intuition and your heart energy, and you find yourself opening up much like a bud on a lotus flower beneath the heart's healing light of the cosmos. And I am not joking on this one. Once you make that commitment, there are some incredible things that are going to come your way. And I said, it's always a struggle between the earthly riches and spiritual richness. And I said, if you take the spiritual route, you will find that as your spirit is enriched energy-wise, okay, that's your aura and that's your chakras, that synchronistic events will occur in your life as a result. You get rewarded, in a sense, to take the higher road of the heart, which is primary in any spiritual development. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If they do, walk away from them. If you settle for a 3D life, however, bummer, involving the lower chakras, then you will be like the businessman in this graphic that I show you, that is running and stressed out in the name of money, power, and control. And I said, the lower mind that refuses to budge from its material world and existence. Which are you going to choose? Okay, the causal field, the brow chakra. This is a biggie. This is our third eye. It's a sixth field, and it's also known as the karmic field or body. And by karma, it doesn't mean that the plan that you put into place uh, before you incarnated into this 3D world to learn what you have to put in motion. That's the karma. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just simply means that's what you're putting into motion. And it isn't all roses and flowers, folks. I mean, ask anybody who lives down here, they're going to die laughing over that one. It's hard. It's hard, hard work. And I says the soul learns by living in 3D and making a whole lot of mistakes. Every day I make a mistake or more. And I said, in this case, karma does not necessarily mean you're going to pay for something that you said or did to someone else or harm them in some way. I said, instead, it is a plan that you wanted to learn and you came into this lifetime and mapped it out for you to follow that path. So you got nobody to blame. Whatever has happened to you, you set that plan in motion. That's not karma. That was your educational process that you came in to learn from. And we all get tasked with the same thing. I don't care how spiritual or not you are, it doesn't matter. And I said, this template of energy is created within your causal field. And this is the brow chakra here, your third eye. And I said, as you birth and are surrounded by your aura, this template is fully activated energy wise, and it will take on your plans, energy, and ensure that is the path you will walk in this given lifetime. That's pretty cool. And I said the brown chakra moves in lavender, but I have seen brown chakras that are purple, and I've seen them indigo colored. And indigo to me is the highest spiritual level of the brow chakra from what I can tell. And I said it's aligned with this particular field. It's also known as the third eye and the center of your forehead where clairvoyance occurs. I said you can see into the other dimensions as well as the spirits and the people who live in them. Now, this sounds really high powered. I know a lot of people think wow, this would be really cool. No, it isn't. Once they know that you can hear or see them, okay, they come in droves, they will encircle you and they'll want to talk to you. And you got to tell them no. You don't need that kind of interference, because that is going to pull you away from your focus of what your incarnation was. So while it's fine to be clairvoyant, you've got to be picky about what you do with it. I mean, you get some really crazy ways. This is a high-powered metaphysical ability that is part of the brow chakra's skill set. It's about the clarity of knowing who you are, that you know right from wrong, that you can delineate between people still stuck in 3D, remember the lower three chakras, and grow spiritually and develop the other set of tools instead stored in the right hemisphere of everyone's brain. It's up to you. All right. Nobody can force you to do this. This is a gotta wanna. You literally can go from living at 50% life to 100% life at this gate or portal, which is the brow chakra. And I said that the metaphysical energy that will become available to you over time. Normally, it's better that you don't blow what we call blow open. When you blow open a chakra and it's wide open and it's spinning, it's usually spinning too fast because it needs to slow down. But at first, it's too fast because it's going online. This you want to make sure opens up slowly rather than just it's everything, and because it scares people. And others will say, oh, they're schizophrenic because they see people and they hear people. This is a real contentious thing with me, because I've seen schizophrenics and I've seen how their energy moves. Now I don't know all of them, and I haven't had every experience possible, imaginable. But what I have seen is that about half of the schizophrenic people that are diagnosed their brow chakra blew open. It had nothing to do with a wound or a DNA genetic abnormality. Okay. But see, doctors down here can't tell you the difference. I see the difference. And shamanically, we can help some schizophrenics that are in that particular mode or modus operandi. And sometimes we can't because it's their incarnation and they wanted to know what it was like to be like that. Well, if that's what you came in for, there's nothing we can do for you because it was your life. And one of the shamanic cosmic laws is you don't ever stop a person on their path, ever. You get the hell out of the way, and you bless them and wish the best for them because that's a hard life. Anyway, the third eye is symbolic as it is unseen in 3D, although it can be seen in 4D plus by another clairvoyant. And I said at this level, it is having the ability to look honestly at ourselves, to know our weaknesses because we still have them. Okay. And we have to know our strengths. And you have to know where our wounds are at and start working on them instead of running away from them, repressing them, or suppressing them, and healing them and yourself. And I said, you will be able to discern lies, con men, frauds from any truth. And I said, and if you don't know it, you sense it intuitively, and it is enough to make you not get involved with these types of 3D people who don't have your best vested interests in their heart at all for you. And I said, these people live in a world of Maya, and Maya simply means it's your hall of mirrors. All right, that's what Maya is. And their lies. And I said, you are desiring to live instead if you're following a healthy path with your brow chakra. You're in a world of truth. You don't lie. You tell the truth. Even though it hurts, you tell the truth. Okay, so the brow also has another wonderful skill set in it. And I said, you have a great deal of intelligence at this level. And again, the intelligence is wrapped up in the emotions, and the emotions have the overriding primary energy of it. Okay. But this is the type of intelligence I'm talking about. Geniuses blossom at this level. And I said, others are visionaries who see things differently and can develop ideas into something meaningful that might help Earth and her inhabitants. We need these people desperately. And I said, creativity abounds within you, so use it to help others and lift the energy into something positive for all beings. Now, you find a lot of brow chakra and throat chakra people who are speakers, teachers, writers, podcasters. They're into film, cinema, documentaries, photography, AI, because they're all spreading the word about some topic that falls into the throat chakra type person's career. And I said they spread the word. It's about something to a global world that awaits what they see and know. And I said I call them cosmic teachers to the rest of us. And you'll know one when you see one. I mean, they just stand out. And whatever they have to say, it makes so much sense to you. And it's nice to be around those people versus the other type. Oh. So the causal field of brow chakra, continuing, I said, opening up to the metaphysical realm of our life means embracing it or running away from it. And I've seen an equal amount on both. I said, people get jangled if they see things that aren't there. And I said, what is really happening is their third eye is opening and they can easily see into the other dimensions. It's a shock. And the thing is you have to learn to shut it down too, so that sort of like a horse with putting blinders on. This is 3D, take them off and you're into 4D. So they have to learn to handle it and to shut it off when you have 3D things that demand your attention. That's what you have to do. There's no two ways about it. And I said, it's quite a shock if this happens to you, and if you have no one to educate or train you properly on such shocking moments. And I said, the person gets scared and their emotions take over and they slam that eye shut because fear has taken over instead. I said it may take you several or many lifetimes to approach the other 50% of your life in 3D to turn it into 100% and be able to see or perceive the rest of what is going on around you. I said it can be very confusing if you don't have a teacher, and that is true. But I said usually, okay, if you're meant, if you are heart-centered and you're sincere, I said usually there is a synchronistic event that will place you with someone who is already there, and they can bring you along, explain what you see, because they can already see it too. Okay, they can help validate you. This is so important because you think first of all, a lot of people think they're going crazy, but then if you get that validated, going, wow, what's going on here? And this other person, they wouldn't lie to you because they've never lied before. So why would they lie about this? I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens to everybody. And it's okay, but don't let the fear stop you. Just kind of hang in there. I had some great teachers, great ones, and they all helped me along. I never questioned like most people because I was raised in a metaphysical environment, but I still had times when I could see them do things that I would think, oh my God, I'll never be able to do that. And it's you're like looking at a miracle happening in front of your eyes. And so it's just it is a process. It is a process. It takes more than one lifetime, believe me. And I said, if someone is there, they can bring you along and explain what you see or experience so that the fear leaves and it eventually is replaced with a gift you have just awarded yourself with. So that's it. Questions? I ran through that one. I hope
Thanks.
everybody got something out of it. I hope you're not too confused.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Eileen. I always learned so much when I'm chatting with you, and I always end up with even more questions than I had beforehand. But
Well,
I was just writing some questions down in the chat box as I was going. One of the first I was thinking of is just how we can help our chakras, really. We've got, I don't know if you know much about the Narayani remedies. They were created by Swami Narayani in Durban in South Africa, actually. And she helped heal thousands of people there in this free clinic. And she created these, like the stories go that she would go into her room and there would be like chanting and all sorts of things going on. And then she'd come out of the room and there'd be new remedies there. And they're actually such a powerful bunch of remedies that we've had a lot of fun with in our clinic with clients. But amongst things, there is a range of chakra remedies. So even if you're not familiar with them, it's such. Have you ever found homeopathics like helping the chakras? Or I've heard that you can eat certain foods or wear certain clothes to help your chakras. But is there anything that you would recommend that if we intuitively feel one of our chakras might be struggling, or if we've gone to see a healer and they say a particular one's struggling, that we can
yeah.
do to help ourselves?
Well, I think that in the next time you and I talk, it would be lesson 5, is chakra maintenance.
Okay.
What I
I
call
should have known
chakra maintenance.
that.
Well, I mean, you're
I should
just
have
jumping
known you to go
ahead,
there. Yeah.
I mean, you're not clairvoyant for a reason. I mean, you really are clairvoyant. Anyway, there's many roads to Rome, Eugenia. Okay. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. The acupuncturist gentleman from Sedona who took care of my mom and helped get her whole cardiovascular system up and running again and gave her 10 more years of her life just with acupuncture.
Mm.
I've seen, I mean, I talked to him quite a bit. I love talking to him. He's just an incredibly spiritual, deeply spiritual person. Um, and I asked her, I says, well, do you ever have people come in and they don't they don't respond to acupuncture. He says, oh yeah. He says, yeah. I said, well, what? I said, how do you feel about that? He says, they're not ready to heal. He said, and he says, and he wanted to make sure that I understood that it wasn't a judgment on his part. Okay, it's simply what he saw and what he felt, and he's done acupuncture for 40 years. I mean, and training over in China for 5 years, you know, before that. And he just said they simply aren't ready for it. And I said, well, is there any other thing that they could do? And he said, yeah. He said there's lots of ways to help a person, but he says they have to be shown, or they have to be led, or there has to be a synchronistic event that's going to help them to get there. And in you know in because my father was Native American, my mother was an herbalist, she would make certain remedies because she was a hands-on healer. Okay. She made, I think it was three different salves. One was sage, and the other was sweetgrass, and then there was third, and I can't remember what it is. But what she would do, and I saw her do this many times, and she would always give them a tin to take home with them, like a 4-ounce tin of the salve that she had made, like the sage. The sage basically has a lot of what we call negative ions in it, which is good. The way you can marry these two things is that how do you feel when you're around a body of water? How do you feel when you're around the ocean?
Mm.
You always feel uplifted. You always feel cleaner. You always just feel like all of the weight that you're carrying is gone. It just magically disappears. Okay. That's what sweetgrass does for us, but it's a Native American thing. And maybe not everybody um, is happy having it Native American ways, but my mom would know, she would be looking either front and back for what was stuck, what wasn't working. If a chakra's closed, there's many times in a lifetime where a chakra will be closed, and it's off limits to the person, okay? Because they're simply not ready for it. And usually it's the upper ones that are closed. But the lower three are almost always open. But she would use the sage salve and just, put it on the front or the back, wherever there was, I called it sludge, but she didn't, that was slowing down the chakra. Okay. And with positive ions. Positive ions are like dust bunnies. Okay. When you you dust your house and stuff like that, that's positive ions. Sage, our sacred sage, no matter where you live in North America, there's sage, okay? And whatever the sage is for that area, that's sacred to that Native American nation. And they would make a sage uh, salve out of it and rub it, okay? And they would rub it, if it was in the northern hemisphere, they would rub it clockwise on it very gently, and then give the person the tin of salve to take home with them, because it has negative ions in it, and it literally will pull out the dross and the stuff, the blockages that are stuffed in there. And then the chakra can begin to turn and go faster and faster and faster. My mom would usually see them in 2 weeks, because that's usually what a 10 lasted. And they would be so much better because of it. But, if you're not of a Native American mindset, there's got to be something else out there for you in another form. And that's why I love homeopathy. There, you don't have the guardrails that you get. If you're Native American, you use certain things, okay? And African people have their own means and ways of doing things, and it works for them, okay? But homeopathy, just in my personal opinion and experience, can do all of that, and that, taking the correct remedy will open up that chakra that has too many positive ions in it, and starts cleaning it out and gets it to work. I've seen that time and time again. And again, it's the well-chosen remedy.
Mm.
So I think that there's a lot of different ways that people can use things. And I know, I don't know. I've had people ask me this. Is there a special homeopathic remedy for a chakra?
Okay.
There probably is, but I don't know what it is.
Cool.
And even then, with my knowledge about chakras being what they are, which is I limp along because I'm not a hands-on healer, and a hands-on healer knows them super well. I don't because I'm a shaman. It's just a very different path. I know enough to be dangerous, but I also know enough to be honest about it. That it just depends upon the person, and if it's time for that chakra to be opened up or to be healed or to be replaced. Now, I have helped, I've seen my surgical team of spirit guides totally remove a set of chakras from a person's template and put in a new one. The first time that happened, my mouth dropped open. And I said, how can they do that? And they did it, and they knew how to do it because they're trained up to do it. I just watched, my mouth was still open, but they put in an entirely new set of chakras in that person's template to help them, because in their incarnation, they weren't supposed to have that happen, but it did because somebody made a mistake and had a bad car accident, and there it went. Okay, you destroyed, you know, one of your chakras, and and so they'll replace them. There's that too, and it's like a miracle. So there's just, I have different ways, and I'll talk about a lot of them next time so that people can try them. But I do recommend everybody get a pendulum, okay, and get a small book on a pendulum. There's not one I particularly recommend. Maybe you can, Eugenie, um, to that teaches you how to use it and everything. But I'm telling you this straight up: if you do not ground yourself, you're not going to get real time, actual information that's going to help you. Okay. It won't work. It will not work. So that grounding is just, you know, the basis of everything. So does
Uh,
that answer your
it
question?
it does. It does. I have just was going to ask you, said animals and plants obviously have auras as well. And actually think you said, did you say they have chakras as well?
They do. Yeah,
And
absolutely. Just like us. Yeah.
but the same amount of levels, or do they have less or more?
No, they're not, they have less than we do because we're on a different path than they are. And every path is different, but usually there's three or four chakras, depending. I see more on trees. I see less on flowers and bushes. Um, and gosh, the rocks are so old. They're billions of years old in some cases. But they might have two or three chakras. It just depends. And and everything is different.
Mm.
But they all are surviving. They're all living. I mean, I talk to rocks all the time, and I'm yeah, there's a good one that can put me into the mental home. Oh, I talk to rocks. Yeah, and they talk back to me. You want to know what they said? No. Rocks have taught me a lot, believe me. They're
Mm.
they're amazing. And they're big time healers. Uh One of the things that I'm going to be talking about is quartz crystal. Just an amazing healing tool.
That's
Just
so cool.
amazing.
I was thinking about the other day, maybe I have too much empathy. I don't know. But as a child, I was that kid that always felt sorry for my toys if I gave one toy a bit more attention than the other toy, or I wasn't able to talk to them enough that day, or all that sort of stuff. But same with my crystals. I've got this gorgeous amethyst sitting here next to me, but I've wanted to use it with the healing in my clinic, just sitting there. But I feel sorry for the crystal taking on all these people's healing. Or actually, I've got a huge shungite, and sometimes I'll just sit there if I'm trying to just get some of the EMFs of the day off, and I'll just sit there with my shungite. But then I'll feel sorry that this poor shungite is taking on all my EMFs and all my shit of the day.
Yeah, but that the shungite's whole path in life is to remove dangerous energies around human beings. That's their job.
Okay.
And they knew that going in. And they're very good at it. And they do transmute it. That's just like, when the prana comes into the chakra, and then as it moves through, it goes eventually to one of the endocrine glands where the prana is actually transmuted into a hormone.
Okay. That makes
I
sense. That's
mean, so the shungite isn't hurt at all, okay? Um, what I do with my shungite is I put it out in the sunlight for an hour or two. I'll put it up on the railing um, in the back of the house where the dog can't get it. She's a retriever, a golden retriever. So, she wants to retrieve everything. Oh, there's a shungite bracelet. Flop. And she go running around with it, prancing, going, look what I got, look what I got. She won't chew it, she won't eat it, but she retrieved it. But sunlight is so good for everything, all
Mhm.
right, with the exception of some stones, but I don't want to get into that tonight. Um, but uh, the shungite can re-energize itself with sunlight and moonlight, as all stones can.
Mhm.
There is, some of them you don't, for instance, like that amethyst of yours,
Mhm.
don't ever put it into direct sunlight.
Ah.
It will fade the purple away to quartz crystal translucence, and you will lose the purple.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Always keep your amethyst in a pouch, okay? Keep it away from sunlight. Don't wear it out in sunlight. Uh and moonlight, with my amethyst, I put it on the windowsill when I have a full moon where it's coming in, and I'll let them lay there, and they enjoy it, and it's not taking their color away from them.
That's
So
interesting.
some stones you don't want to put in sunlight, and amethyst is one of them. Also, with amethyst, you want to be very careful that you're not bringing in an ADD or an ADHD child around amethyst, because it really discombobulates them. The energy of that is the brow chakra. Okay. For the amethyst, it's purple. This is the first thing I want you guys to start making connections with is, okay, it's purple. That means the brow chakra is going to be stimulated by it. Okay. And it's true. But children who have ADD and ADHD are in a mental quandary and maelstrom anyway. And if they get around something purple like that amethyst, because amethyst is very powerful, it's quartz crystal, it's just loaded energy wise far more than most stones or gemstones. So they just go bonkers.
Mm.
And if you try and sleep with an amethyst at night and you're like that, you toss and turn, you'll never go to sleep. So you really want to be careful with that. And you want to be careful around kids that are on Ritalin and things like that. They don't do well with amethyst at all. All right. So it's just, I have a YouTube channel that I've devoted. It's called Jim Mystique, um, because I know a lot about the stones and I have a degree in it. And I wanted to start putting some information out there on it that you can use. And the first one that I did was emerald. I'm late. I have to do ruby next. I haven't gotten to it. That's next up on my plate. But you know, because I trained in with Oceana for 3 years off and on gemstones and quartz crystals, she was just an incredible, miraculous, wonderful, brow and crown chakra teacher. She just knew it all and was incredible. And she passed on what she knew, which I think is very, very important. It helps the rest of us. Um, but she would tell all kinds of stories about these stones and which ones you should or shouldn't do this or that. Like for instance, you don't want to use azurite, which is a copper mine stone, and it's blue and it looks very beautiful and scintillates and looks very, very pretty. but it is so highly poisonous if you put that in water. Um, I remember putting my goldfish. Somebody gave us an azurite and we didn't know it. And I think I was only 5 years old at the time. And I put it into the water of this little fish aquarium we had, and it killed the fish. I cried. I
Oh.
just felt so horrible. But I didn't know at that time that azurite has copper poisoning in it because it comes from a copper mine. And you also have to be careful with malachite. It is also a copper mine stone too, and you have to you know think about these things. Although I will say for malachite, it's very good for people who have rheumatoid arthritis, in particular, to wear a small stone in their left pocket because it's going to pull the energy of the stone into their entire aura.
Mm.
Okay, and it begins to circulate, because copper they have found is helps rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis. It actually helps.
Mm.
So, and if people like stones, then they should look at a stone remedy if they're sick. If you believe in want to use flower essences, which I do, I use flower essences on animals and humans, but I also use homeopathic remedies too. But um, you know, whatever you like, whatever you love, these are tools that you can use to help yourself and your family, and that's where it's all at. That's where
Mm.
you want to start is at home.
I have got the crystal. There's this book called The Crystal Bible, and I've got it next to the toilet at the moment. It's my toilet reading. My husband's always
That's
like,
the most important place in the house for reading.
It is. It really is. And so in this book, I was just started reading volume 2 last night, and it said in there that there's all these new crystals. It was necessary to create the second volume because it's massive. Anyway, the second volume because all these new crystals are coming to light now for various reasons. It's easier to get Russia's opening up trade a bit more, and people are being able to access those. China's allowing people to access more of their crystals. But one of the others was with the I think they said with the ice caps melting and things like that, they're able to access stones that they couldn't previously access because it was
Right,
covered
right.
by
Yeah,
ice. And I couldn't help but wonder if it's actually that, it's the coming to the age of Aquarius, and these stones are now ready to actually come to light. Because then also, I was editing some clips last night of my interview with Peter Tamanello, who you'll know is, the king of the gemstones in the homeopathic world. But he was talking about in 2000, one of the crystals, I think it was green jade, said to him that it's now time for this remedy, the remedy made from this crystal, to be introduced to the world. So I do think with crystals, they, reveal themselves at a time when it's ready. So I
yeah,
couldn't then help but when I read this of the ice melting and the crystals now being revealed under these layers of ice that weren't previously known about, that probably also because it's time for them to come out. But I guess we're
right.
going into a whole other conversation, but I'm finding myself more and more drawn to crystals, and I would love to learn more about it. In addition to the chakras and all these things, I've previously kind of just skirted around it, but I really feel that this is something that can give us a deeper
Yeah.
understanding of how we can help our clients. I actually had one person in my Facebook group say to me, please don't talk about these things that's not homeopathy related. And I didn't even reply to that comment. Um, because I
Well,
really
it's energy too.
exact
You
and
know,
yeah,
if you
exactly. And
believe in homeopathy, you believe in energy, period. I mean, there's no
exactly.
boundaries on this, okay?
But also, there was no judgment. I just realized that that person was probably not at the space where they're ready for it. And I recognize it because I've been there myself in the past too. So there's no judgment. It's
Right.
just kind of recognizing the fact that we're all at different stages, and it's not good or bad. Like you said, it's just different.
Yeah.
Um, but already when you were saying, you just quickly mentioned something about picky eaters, and it made me think of what practically can we do in the clinic to strengthen that. I think you said it was the sacral chakra. So if you've got a really picky eater, which
Well,
is
it's the solar plexus
solar plexus,
usually.
sorry.
The solar
So
it's the solar
so
plexus.
oh,
The sacral is your abdomen area, top
mm.
and bottom, above and below the umbilical cord.
Because I have loads of clients with autism who are obviously very picky eaters. They're just on the carbs all day long, the crackers and the things. And it really is an obstacle to cure because unless you can get them to eat a variety of foods, they're not going to get that nutrition. And often they don't want to take
Right.
supplements anyway. So, what other ways, what else can we do to help them get nutrition? And I often give them the Narayani nutrition remedy. I obviously try and focus on, healing the gut as much as possible. Sometimes I'll get a stool sample done so
Yeah,
I can
it's
see
important.
what their bowel flora is like. It will tell you, what variety of flora there is, and then maybe we can give a homeopathic remedy made from that particular flora that they're missing. But then also, this is just another layer for me to consider: is if they're a picky eater, then it is the uh solar plexus chakra that needs to be strengthened. So can I then get them to wear a certain color, which I know is tricky with children with autism anyway, but can we expose them to these colors somehow? Can we, what sort of things can we do to heal that chakra to then also help with the picky eating? So this is why the homeopaths who are listening that are maybe thinking this isn't related, we need to try and use all the
Well,
tools
yeah,
that we
it
possibly
is
can to do
related.
as much as we possibly can to help our clients.
Right. Well, the first thing I would say is, if that type of child or adult, because they do go into adulthood, um, I would just lay them down ask if they are comfortable laying down on your table and pull out the pendulum and let them look at it and feel it and touch it, and then just put it over the stomach, hold it about 4 inches above the stomach and see what it does. If it does nothing, that means it's closed, which is why they've got the nutrition issues that they've got.
Mm.
Um, and then, and you have to look at everything else regarding that. And I know that they don't eat right. I've seen this time and time again, and I don't think we should stop um, trying to find something. But I would probably um, I would probably look at yellow citrine. It's one of the quartz crystal family. Okay, just a small, and you could use a tumbled stone. You don't have to
Mm.
buy an expensive six-sided quartz crystal. In fact, most citrine are little tiny things anyway, and to get one that is six-sided and even this tall, okay, which isn't that tall, that is phenomenal because most of them don't grow like that. They grow in all these tiny little communities, and that's it. But if you can get you know, a, a tumbled stone and just put it in their left pocket and let them carry it around with them during the day. All right. Just tell them it's a friend. I know I deal with a lot of kids, and I, I just tell them that this is a little friend. Its name is, you know, uh, do you know its name? And kids are so open and so receptive, and they'll say, "Oh, that's Ellen. That's Ellen. I recognize her." Okay, well, you're gonna put Ellen in your left pocket because she loves to walk around with you, and let that energy start circulating through the aura. Okay, this takes some time. It isn't a miracle worker usually in a day or two. All right, but if it's a child, the child's more than likely, because it's a gift and it's pretty. And I always have a little pouch, fabric pouch, uh, colorful type of fabric, and put the stone in there, and they think that that is the best thing in the world. I mean, it's such a gift to them.
Mm.
And I just say, be sure and wear it in your left pocket. Okay, and we'll see you in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and we'll see how you're doing. That's because kids, and even kids who are not mentally as well developed, eh, giving them a gift like that is first of all, it's kind, it's gentle, and it's sincere, from you to the child. And children are so open, and I don't care whether they're mentally all here or not. They are so open.
Mm.
Their hearts, they're all heart,
Mm.
and it's so easy to talk to them. And so right now, I have a person. It's not a child. It's a older person, a woman, And I sent her one of my tins of sage because she she is not Native American, she's Caucasian, but she has always believed deeply in Native American healing. And she was having a lot of belching, heartburn, this type of thing. And I told her, I said, just, put it on, before you go to bed at night. I said, now when you make a salve, it's made out of the comb of the honeybee. Okay. It's a wax. It's not a grease. There's a difference. And so you just need a little bit of that and just, rub it over the area and see what it does for you. And within 5 days, she came back and, said, it's all gone. I don't have the burning in there anymore. It's just, and all the sage did, the salve was clean out the chakra so it could start working again, or it start
Mm.
at least moving faster than what it was, so that the digestion could be, brought up to speed more than it was, which is why, the esophagus, that little valve that's there, isn't shutting like it should. And that also has something to do with it. It can be a
Mm.
weak valve, weak flap. And I've seen sage do that. But this, again, these are people who believe in that path and it works for them. And that's what will heal them. And so, I mean, whatever you have down there in Australia, I know you have a lot of beautiful flower remedies by different flower essence companies. Um, there's got to be something down there. And maybe what you need to do is widen your scope or whatever, or just tell your chief guide, look, bring somebody in who can help me on this.
Mm.
I need it from Australia. I need it from where I live, because there's an old saying in the United States that wherever you live, everything you need to keep yourself healthy is right around you within a 5 mile radius. Okay. And I find that to be true,
Mm.
because in every place there are different herbs, different flowers,
Weeds.
that can help us,
Mm.
and different stones. There's different stones and different types of, I mean, is it a metamorphic area? Is it basalt? Is it sedimentary? We could go on and on all night. I could tell you lots of stories about that. Maybe you just aren't living in the right area. I mean, there's that too. If you're a water person, you love the sedimentary areas. And if you can't live by the water, at least you want to be where the sedimentary uh, was, because it meant that it was under the ocean
Mm.
and then it uplifted after millions of years.
Mm.
But that energy is still there. See, this is the thing. This is why I wrote Walking the Land, is where you live is important. And it starts with the geology of it. And then it starts with, well, do you have an aquifer under you, or do you have a river, or do you have a stream under you that you don't know about? Which way is it running? Is it running under your house? Oh, you say you can't sleep. Well, okay, but you've already built a house over it because you didn't know any better. Nobody taught you this. They knew this in the United States back in the 16 and 1700s and the 1800s. They had dowsers, okay, who would douse with a pair of sticks. It's a Y-shaped stick,
Mm.
and they would hold both ends of that, and that little front of it would go like this or like this where the water was at. And so they knew not to build over underground water areas. And they were right. But everybody's forgotten that. And so now they build over everything.
Mm.
And it's no wonder some people can't sleep in different rooms, but it's because of that. So, you know, look at what you got in your own backyard. Take a look at this, Eugenia. I mean, I know you're on roller skates 90% of the time, but um, just someday just go out and just look around. And do you have somebody who's a master herbalist or an herbalist in your area?
I can definitely find somebody. I actually have a somebody who is a whose family does a lot of work with Aboriginal herbs and things like that. And we are having a meeting very soon after you mentioned to me to get in touch with somebody local. And I was like, wow, actually, I've got this
Yeah.
client. And so I'm really excited to meet up with her and learn more about
Good.
the
Yeah,
Aboriginal people.
because your indigenous people know what plants, what rocks, what water, everything, or where to sit or where not to be sitting. They know all those things,
Mm,
and they all contribute to your health and welfare, or it takes it apart.
mm,
If you happen to have your house in the wrong place at the wrong time.
mm,
I'm not saying that you are, but I've run into this so often it's not even funny.
mm,
But walking the land definitely tells you what to be looking for. And if you're building a house, then you definitely want that book because it's going to tell you how not to build in the wrong place because you live in it. And I've had people get really sick after they build a house someplace and they've built it over a negative energy line, which is where the discarnates use it as a highway to get from point A to point B. You just don't really want that energy, and you don't want them coming through your house.
mm,
It's like a bus station.
mm.
Yeah.
I I read your book Path of the Mystic. So just for our listeners, even though Eileen writes under pseudonyms, if you just type in Eileen Nauman in uh, Amazon, your Lindsay McKenna books come up as well, which is great. But so I finished reading your book, Path of the Mystic, which was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to do Walking the Land. I've bought them all on Kindle because some of them I couldn't get the physical
Good.
copies posted over here. So the
Yeah.
next one I'll do Walking the Land, and then I've also got your the Soul Retrieval book, which I'll do after that. But the Walking the Land one, I can't wait to get into that because we've got the
Yeah,
16 acres here.
it's
Mm,
far more important than anybody realizes, and your health can degrade terribly if
mm,
you live in a house in the wrong place over
mhm.
time. And sometimes it's pretty quick,
Yeah.
depending upon what's
Yeah.
going on energy wise. So again, you can't see it.
Mm,
Um, and this is why we need to train people, just generally speaking. I think Metaphysics 101 ought to be taught to every kid starting in
absolutely.
first grade. Start
Mm,
coloring the auras, and
yeah,
color where the chakras are at. I would
absolutely.
train that.
Imagine that. We need to, I wonder if there's a coloring in book like that for children. Your publishing company
Not
should do
really.
something like that, Eileen. Get your niece on board and create a children's coloring in book exactly with
Well,
that.
it's funny. I was thinking along that line the other day that I mean, my niece does graphics, but I don't know that she wants to do a book or anything like that. I don't think she does. But I was thinking, why? I mean, I went over on Amazon and I was looking for a children's book on what we're talking about, and
Mm,
there's pieces of it in different things, but you've got to be pagan or Wicca or
mm,
Native American or God knows what you want to call it. And but it's disparate. It's
mm,
not been brought together like it needs to be.
mm,
My mom used to she would buy me coloring books, and I had coloring crayons, and she would sit with me and say, and she'd start a line around the body of the figure, okay, and she would say, this is the etheric, okay, and she'd always use a gray color for it. She says, now I want you to put that all the way around it. And of course I'd go, what, mommy? I want a different color. No. you know but that was her way of teaching,
mm,
you know and it wasn't done in a school, it was done at home.
mm,
And I would love to see some illustrator who we could work with to do something like that. It is so badly needed.
mm,
I just can't believe that somebody hasn't done just Energy 101, just
mm.
something simple. I mean, look at this. Sherry did a beautiful job on this. And it reminds me of my days when I was a young kid with color crayons.
That's
The
beautiful.
same
Maybe
thing.
maybe we can get some listeners to create some beautiful downloadable coloring in PDFs that, people can download and just give to their children to color in. And yeah, but just with the great
That's a good
colors.
idea
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea
Yeah.
because you're not hurting the child, you're opening them up.
Yeah.
And kids see your aura anyway. I mean, 5, 6 years old, they're telling you what colors that they see around a
Wow.
person. They're totally open.
Yeah.
Nobody shut them down.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Eileen, I have this one thing that's I asked you earlier, but I don't think I explained it really well. So when you said that it's the auras are going, sorry, the chakras are going in a clockwise, do you mean if you're looking at the person or from their body? So for example, if
from
this
their
is my
body. No,
okay, so if this is okay, that's what
no,
I thought. I just wanted to
it's
double check.
from your body.
Okay, so it'll
Okay.
be counterclockwise going. Okay, that makes sense.
That's right. You got
I
it.
assumed
You
it was,
got
but
it.
then I was like, if you're looking at the person and you okay. I was overthinking it. That tends to be my thing that I do anyway.
You need to put your head into your heart, okay?
Well,
Every once in a while,
yeah, but also
just
you've
to
made
cool
me
it down.
well, I am quite ADHD, which I use to my advantage, because
Ah,
there's lots you can do when you know a bit more about it. But now you've
no,
said
no,
about
I
this
know how
amethyst, and then I'm
brilliant.
like, I've been sleeping with it next to my bed the last couple of nights, and I'm like, oh, maybe I need to move it away a little bit further.
Well, these children who have this are brilliant. They're brilliant
Give this to
minds.
me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so
that's
heavy.
not beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
no,
just figured this is the nice chatty part. If anybody is still with us after all of this, then they
yeah.
deserve to be part of our conversation. There we go. There
It's
we
a
go.
beautiful amethyst.
It's
It really
beautiful.
is.
Hey, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
amazing.
and keep it close to you because it's a good friend.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And then I'll
Yeah.
blur my background again for those so we don't give people strokes from watching the mattress toppers that we have on the walls to be sound protection.
That's all right.
This
They're
is
looking
actually
at you, not the patterns. Don't worry about it.
yeah, I actually love because our interviews have been like more, in the 2 hour range, which is really lovely because normally we turn, press the stop button at the hour mark. And then I often get to have nice chats with the guests, which is more kind of candid and informal and just, the energy of it is different. And it's really nice for our listeners who are still hanging out with us right now, if they haven't, if we haven't lost them yet, that they get to be part of this lovely candid conversation that
Yeah.
it is a little bit different.
Well, yeah, and everybody has something of value to contribute too, and that's why I love teaching my shamanic students. I would have 6 or 12 of them in at a time from around the world, sitting on the carpeted floor of our living room,
Wow.
and being there with them and talking and sharing and we would go out and do one flower or we'd do one bush or something in the southwestern Arizona area and I learned as much as I gave out of what I knew and that's the Aquarian age and that's why we're here and that's why we're doing this it's one for all and all for one. And we all have something to contribute. We all have experiences that nobody else has.
Mm.
And that's what I'm interested in is, what has spurred you forward? What do you really love to do? And are you zeroed in on that? And are you doing it? Like Eugenia, you definitely are zeroed in. There's no question. I mean, you're like a cosmic podcast mother.
I do.
That's a compliment, by the way.
I do. Thank you. I know I feel that, but it took me so many years. Like every now and again, I start to feel guilty that I am literally living the life that I would love to live from a professional point of view. I mean, I have the best family as well. So definitely from a family, my husband and my kids are incredible. Um, and I almost feel guilty because I feel like, oh, that imposter syndrome comes in. I feel like I don't deserve it. But then I just think it took me so many years of finding my passion and walking that path. And then I'm like, no, I need to do this. And the reality is all of us deserve to do this. All of us deserve to live in our passion and do things that fire us up and light us up because that's our right.
Yes, it is.
It's a journey to get there. It's a journey. And it's
Yeah, it
not
makes you
always
a lot
easy.
stronger.
So I've
It's
definitely
never,
dipping through burnout now and again. And, you've recently given me some phosphoric acid, which has been an incredible journey. It's just picked me up and held me so much. I'm just loving it. But now I have to just make sure that I'm not then dipping back in now that I have the more energy, not then do even more, right? Just staying in that balance.
yeah, no, it is called walking in harmony, what we call walking in harmony. You have to know when to quit and you have to know when to give your physical body a rest and your mind a rest. And There is that. Yeah. That's something you learn along the way. I'm 77, so I've been there, done what you've done. I know from experience.
And
So, but
isn't age wonderful? Because I'm 44 now, but I'm just I love my 30s and I'm loving my 40s even more. And I look at my parents-in-law that in their 70s, my mum, and they just, there's such a beautiful liberation that comes with that. You don't have to please anybody anymore. You can just, do what
right.
makes you happy. You don't have to explain yourself or justify yourself to anyone. And I think getting older is such a huge privilege. So I have no issues with telling anybody my age or trying to hide it or anything like that. Like I don't color my hair either, or like I'm so every little bit of gray that comes out, I'm so excited because it's such a privilege that's not given to so many people, being able to age and get older and wiser and if they don't, it's it's their journey as well, that people that leave us quite young and all that sort of stuff. But aging is such a huge privilege.
It is. And women have more to give usually than anybody. And that's why I work almost exclusively with women. Is I want to support them. I want to urge them on. I want to coax them. Uh, I want them to be reaching for the stars, because everybody can and should be reaching for the stars, because the stars talk back to us. There's another topic, another time. Everybody has a special constellation. Everybody has a special star. And you can start communicating with it, and you can get energy from that, but it's teaching, educational, healing energy. It's nothing bad, okay? But the more you open yourself up to the world, the more the world becomes available to you, and energetically speaking, and it supports and holds you, and also helps you bring your dreams to life and to live it, not just think about it or feel it or ache for it or wish for it. You're walking in your dream. And that's why they call this 3D world Maya.
Mm.
It's a hall of mirrors, but different mirrors can produce a lot of incredible healing and a lot of incredible love and compassion. And that's my whole focus right there, is helping people.
Mhm.
And it's such a joy to watch them grow and become little flowers that bloom.
I
They
I
each have
have
their own fragrance.
Exactly. I have to say the biggest thing that helped me to really live a life of passion and to get to have to get to do what I love, because there are so many homeopaths. I just heard of another, such an incredible homeopath, so smart. And so, she's actually a doctor in homeopathy as well. And she's so scared of putting herself out there for so many years. And now it's to the point where I've heard she's not actually going to practice anymore. She's gone into a totally different career. But there's also so many homeopaths that if you have a problem, they'll say, oh, come for an appointment, come for an appointment. Whereas my whole thing right from the start is just giving advice away for free, helping as many people for free as I can in Facebook groups and things like that. And you have to be careful of your own energy as well, right? It's an energetic exchange, but helping clients on an acute level. And I was so shocked when I once had a homeopath, very well-known homeopath, say to me, I don't do those mothers courses, those at-home teaching mothers courses. If they have a problem, they need to come and see me. I'm like, well, I don't want my client to call me at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning with their child's ear infection. You need to empower that mother. And I've found over the years that the more I give away, the more I empower others, instead of thinking, oh, it's going to take business away from me. Oh, I can't tell the person this secret or that thing or this a remedy that I use or the way that I do this or that, because, it will take business away from me. If you go from that scarcity mentality, things just don't flow and it's hard and it just doesn't serve anybody. But if you go from that abundance mentality of, yep, let's help people, let's give away, let's do this for free, let's see how many we can inspire and help, then it really does come back as well.
Right. And it does. I mean, a thousandfold it comes back to you. I mean,
Mm.
I've lived a life that very few, I mean, most of them would think I was making it up, because I am a fiction author and New York Times bestselling author. Uh, that I made it all up, but I didn't. But it was a matter of crawling out of the cellar and working through my wounds and taking responsibility for them and getting the help and asking for help and getting it And then that freed me at age 35. So, we all go through what I call the gauntlet. Everybody has a gauntlet down here in 3D. Nobody gets away with it. And you either get stuck in it or you die in it, or you fight your way through it and you get out the other side of it. And that's what I did. I fought my way through it, and I just wasn't going to quit. But not all souls have that kind of resilience. It depends upon how young or old a soul you are. And the older you are, the more you can deal with things and work through it, or help other people work through it, because we all become wounded healers, and that's what I am, and that's what shamans are. I mean, but there is such an archetype as a wounded healer who is
Mm,
not a shaman. These are people who were terribly wounded in early childhood, the first 18 years, and they have you know a terrible road ahead of them to try and heal themselves. But if you'll try, the universe listens and comes to your aid and support and help. I can't tell you how many times that I thought it's all over. And nope, not really. I mean, it's like, keep on going. And there would always be some synchronistic event, some person, some event would happen. Um, and it's like it just miraculously comes out of the ethers and goes bing, and it's right there. You go, oh, okay, all right, I see the road. All right,
mm,
keep on going. But that's what we have to do. And your older souls can handle that a lot better than a younger soul.
mm.
But that's part of living down here in 3D and learning how to live here. And by the time you graduate, boy, it's a good feeling because you don't have to come back here and do that again.
Exactly.
But there's one thing I want to leave you with, Eugenie. Um, this is this is definitely a spiritual thing I'm going to be talking about. There are a lot of souls down here right now, for the change of guard, if you will,
Mm,
with the energy of this planet. And the souls that have come in, and they started back in about the 1930s. Okay. And these are what we call mission souls. A mission soul is somebody that doesn't have to come back here. They've paid their dues. They've went through hundreds, thousands of lifetimes, and they've completed that course. Okay. That's how it's looked at from the other side. It's like going to school. And a mission soul, first of all, is a soul that is on some kind of service path, where they want to help others. Would probably be the best way to say this. Uh, there's many different types of service paths, and they volunteer to come down here, and they plan for it, and they plan, the type of personality that we have, where we have to live, the what country, what are we doing in that country. But a mission soul is there to hold the incoming energy and not allow the energy that's leaving to corrupt and crumble it and destroy it before it ever gets in. And this is where we're at right now.
mm,
And I'm not a doomsdayer. Don't even think that. But we have more mission souls down here in every country of this world that are working from the heart and working as hard as they can, because, boy, we are up against an onslaught. I have never seen anything like this. But I'm glad I'm here, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else because I like to be where the action's at. And you're a mission soul for sure. Okay. Anybody that can spread the word and the word gets out, even if it's to a local area, a local radio station or whatever, or maybe regional, maybe your state or your province or whatever. But when they become world famous, or what we don't like to call it famous. We call it global. When you become global, which you have become, okay? This tells me everything I need to know about who and what you are. You really didn't have to come back. You did though, and you are in the thick of it, just like every mission soul is in the thick of it now. And the thing is, with a mission soul, they're much older souls, and they know how to ground, and they know how to just stand straight and tall, and the wind, the rain, the fire, nothing stops them and nothing knocks them down, because they've been there, done that so many times in those incarnations here in 3D. Um, but you have to be a pretty selfless, compassionate soul to be a mission soul. It's an honor, but it's like being the little Dutch boys. They have the dike, and the dike's full of holes, and the mission people come along and put their fingers in the hole to stop the water so it doesn't flood and kill everybody. That's what we're in right now. Okay. And it's it was a time when we needed to get the word out to as many people as we could, about what is really going on, and it can how you can help yourself and help your family and keep that stability, because you can't get tied up with what's going on here. There's such a thing as what we call detachment. And detachment in a spiritual sense is not caring about what happens to anybody. That's not the detachment I'm talking about. The detachment is you love everyone, and you do not allow what everyone is doing to each other to harm or kill or murder or torture them or whatever, but you love them anyway, and you work with that love, and that makes the difference. That's what makes a mission soul who they are. um, it's an incredible time that we live in here now, and it only happens once every 21 to 2500 years. And here we are in the breach of it, big time. It's an exciting time. I'm very excited about it. I feel very positive about it. I know the people I work with are hell on wheels. You know, they are not going to give up, and they're not going to give in, and they are going to see this new world coming for all of us. And it's going to free everybody from here on out. I just can't think of a more important time to be in body than right now.
Mm.
I don't know if you've thought about it on that scale, but I wanted to kind of share it with you because that's the scale where I live. And I'm aware of these things. And at night, mission souls go out with their astral body, and we are in battles. We are dealing with the darkest of the dark right now. And we are protected, and we are not going to get killed, but we're working 24/7, 365 right now. It's balls to the wall, for lack of a better word. That's exactly where we're at.
You'll have to do
So
366 this year. We've got a leap year, Eileen.
that's fine.
Extra day
I
for you.
don't care how many days, it doesn't matter. Um, but what you're doing, Eugenia, I just really want to praise you, and it just you're an incredible light to the world. I just want you to know that you don't realize who you are. I do. And you just keep doing what you're doing. You're in the right path. You're in the glide path. I used to be a pilot, so I flew planes. So you're on the glide path. You're coming in for a landing, and that landing is going to be huge over the coming next 6 7 years. And we're all going to be better for it because of what you're doing. We're all going to be better people. We're all going to educate each other. We're going to know a lot more, And that always helps. That never hurts us. That always supports us.
Mm,
But everybody has good ideas, has experiences. Let's get them out there.
mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Oh, Eileen, it's just, I just never want our conversations to end. It's just so beautiful. Thank you so much once again for today. And we're going to chat again next week. And I've got, can't wait to hang out with
Okay.
you again and delve a
Well,
bit more of this. I always leave with like another gazillion unanswered questions, but I know if I ask them, I'm gonna like keep you for another few hours here. And I know it's nighttime there.
oh,
It's
I'm
getting
not going
late.
anywhere. I'm not
I'll
going anywhere.
I'll
And we
save it
can
for
always,
I'll save it for next time. But it's just yeah, I've just been more and more this idea of, oh, there I go. The question's gonna come out, but just good and evil and the yin and yang, and you know how you're talking about the person that
the
murdered and then
evil isn't
like you
gonna
can't
win.
you can't but
It's
also
not gonna
but is it
win.
really a win? Because we can't have one without the other, right? It's impossible to have one
But you
without the
can
other.
have a balance between them, and it's so
Mm.
horribly imbalanced.
Okay,
Women have
gotcha.
been totally, totally suppressed. You've suppressed over half the world's energy. You
Mm.
think we're balanced?
Okay.
I don't.
Good point. Good
Uh-uh.
point. Good point.
Okay.
Because
Oh no, don't
the
get
other
me
thing is
fired
as
up on this
well,
one.
like we wouldn't incarnate into this planet if there wasn't work to do anyway. So I don't know if there ever
That's
won't be
right.
work to do because what's the point of coming down here if we don't have shit to do?
That's right. Oh, there's a lot of shit around. There's no question about that. But
Yeah.
it's how we conduct ourselves in it that
Mm,
is really, really important. And you do not want to get tied up with nuclear war or what they're doing in Syria and Iran or Iraq. This is where you're detached because you don't want to waste your energy on things that you cannot control. Okay, you're
exactly.
not in a pilot's seat, you know, in combat dropping bombs. That's a
Mm,
different story. We're not there. Uh, Let it go. The more we stay open from the heart, the more the energy comes in through us and down into this third dimensional world.
mm. That is
Okay.
so powerful what you're saying because so many of my clients are they completely uh, drive themselves mad with things like child trafficking and all that sort of stuff. And it is
Right.
horrifying, but unless somebody can tell me what I can physically do about that, I cannot put my energy there. Like I just
No,
keep
you
putting my
can't.
energy into what it is that I'm doing because I know, there's stuff happening in Gaza and all that. There's all these people posting about it on social media. There's nothing I can do for those people. So I can't put my energy there because
Right.
and even with
But
COVID,
see,
like I
you know
wasn't.
better. You know better. You're an old soul. You know that. And we don't. We don't put our energy there. We put it where people who are hurting or people who are looking for help, those are the ones we're going to touch because we have open hearts and
Mm,
hearts heal. They both start with an H. It's really simple,
mm,
Eugenia. It's
mm,
really simple. It's not hard to figure out. And you just have to be that loving, beautiful soul that you are. Just be the sunlight for someone's darkness and the healing will begin automatically because your aura is in their aura and that's where it all begins.
mm.
That's the catalyst.
And it doesn't, I just want to say this, well, it doesn't change the empathy for those people. Like obviously my heart bleeds
Oh
for all of them
no,
and
no, no, no,
but it's nothing
no,
I can do about it. So I'm not spending my time on social media and the news scrolling through and
no.
constantly replaying
Don't,
those
oh,
images because there is nothing I can do about that. If somebody
I
can tell me
don't.
what I can do, I will go and do that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to stay on.
But you're doing it. You're doing it right now. This is why I wanted to kind of let you know who you are and what you're doing and how important it is for everyone. All right? That's a trickle down that you have no idea energy wise that's going on because of what you do. It's affecting a lot of people, and that's what we want to do, but it's affecting them positively, not negatively.
Mm,
Okay. And if they don't want to go along with you, and if they don't agree, that's fine. Bless them
mm,
and let them decide what they want to do. But you know what you have to
mm,
do. Okay. So just be who you are. and you don't have to apologize to anybody.
Mm.
Okay?
Thanks, Eileen.
Yeah,
I'm
ever.
sending you so much love, and I'll chat with you
Well,
again
I love
next
you
week.
too, and I love what you do. And thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Same.
you very much for everything you do. You're just
It's a pleasure.
amazing.
The feeling
Okay.
is so mutual.
Well, let's
Chat
see what
soon.
we can do together. Let's find somebody that can do a coloring book for us. I
Let's
would
do
love
it.
to see.
Let's do it. Let's put it out
Yeah.
there.
So you take care, all right? And I love
Bye.
you. And I
Bye.
love everybody that stayed.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.